And I got a chance, and now I will reveal one of my favorite people in the WWE, possibly of all time, that I love to hang out with and just talk to and tell old stories to. And I will pause for a few moments while you blow a gasket and say, I just love John Bradshaw Layfield.
Oh, fuck that guy. There are very few people in the world I'd like to see hit in the face with an anvil.
But no.
As much as I'd like. No, that guy is a bully. But I'd like to punch him in the face.
Have you ever met him?
No, I don't want to meet him.
Well, let me tell you. I'm just going to tell you my experience with Bradshaw for 20 years. First, when he was John Hawk, I don't know if I've told you his story or not, but I had him booked in Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Yeah, that's right. At the end of 95, he was supposed to come in. Yeah.
He was supposed to start Christmas, and we closed down Thanksgiving. And he sent me a Christmas card that year saying, Mr. Cornette. He called me Mr. Cornette for the first 10 years I knew him. Mr. Cornette, thank you for booking me. What's my starting date? And I sent him the same Christmas card back the next year saying, where the fuck were you? And he said, it changed the same card for like 5 years till finally I kept it. I still got it around here somewhere. But every time I see him, his face brightens up. He's got a smile. We have a hug. We start telling stories. I loved working with him when I was an agent there or producer or whatever the fuck. Never any problem. If I'd had 10 of him, I'd have been a happy guy. He's an entertaining son of a bitch. He tells great stories. I know he's on Fox, and we don't talk politics. That's one thing we do not talk about. But he is the highlight of any time that I'm in that locker room or anywhere he's at any of these wrestling conventions. He's hilarious. And Ron Simmons is right there with him, and so is Teddy Long. So we sit there. He told a story. And I'll let you try to explain to me why everybody else has a problem with him here in a minute. But he told a story, for example, about one time Teddy and him and Ron were on the Massachusetts Turnpike, headed to Boston in a blizzard. And they had somebody else, I can't remember who it was, in the car with them, 4 of them. And Bradshaw's browbeating Teddy, because he does that. He likes to do that. And if you joust back with him, you're fine, right? If you get offended, I guess, that's a different story. But he's Teddy, God damn it, I got to piss, pull over. Fuck, we're going 30 miles an hour. Bradshaw will never get there. Well, I got to piss. What do you want me to do? All right. So they pull over side of the road, and the guy in the front seat gets out. Bradshaw gets out, and Teddy's like, God damn, this trip will never end. This trip will never end. So the guy in the front seat gets back in, Bradshaw gets back in, and Teddy peels out in the snow. And he's driving down, and Bradshaw says, hey, Teddy, that ain't fucking funny. And he said, what? We ain't never going to get there. No, it ain't fucking funny. Ron, what about Ron? You left Ron. And Teddy said, well, Ron's back. And he looked right over his shoulder and said, Ron's right. Ron wasn't in the car. Ron got out too. Teddy didn't know. Now they've left him in the blizzard on the fucking turnpike, and you can't turn around and go back. He had to back up in a fucking blizzard for a mile to get Ron Simmons, who's standing there looking like a black version of the Abominable Snowman. And Bradshaw had to keep Teddy from killing. Another time, they're driving. And, of course, Ron and Bradshaw are drinking. They've drunk a whole case of beer. Teddy hadn't had one sip of beer, hadn't had nothing to drink. They get pulled over by the cops. Teddy's so fucking scared, he's flunking the sobriety test and hadn't had a drink. And meanwhile, they're looking in the back seat, the cop is, and there's fucking 40 beer cans. And Bradshaw mans up and says, officer, they're all mine. I drank them all, right? And Simmons rolls down the window and said, fuck you, I'm drunk too. I guess you had to be there. But anyway, I'm just, why does everybody, I've never had a crossword with, he told me another story about working with Stan Hansen in Japan, because he loves Hansen, right? And they have to go 30 minutes. And fucking, at the time, Bradshaw's a young boy, so he comes up and he says, Stan, what would you like to do? And Stan said, how about I'll duck yours and give you mine? And that was the whole thing they talked about for a 30-minute match. Said they tore the house down. Another time he saw the office come in and Stan Hansen sitting there putting his boots on. And the office guy goes, we want you to put our young boy over clean in the middle with his finish. Hansen said, okay, kept lacing his boots. Bradshaw's thinking, well, that didn't sound exactly right. They go out and have the match. It was some guy nobody liked, right? Hanson beats the piss out of him. Boom, boom, boom. Hit him with the fucking lariat. Pinned him 1, 2, 3 right in the middle. Comes back, starts unlacing his boots, just looked up and said, well, that didn't go like they wanted it. You're not entertained by any of Bradshaw's.
I'm not entertained by that goose-stepping Nazi motherfucker. No.
Oh, goddamn, if I was in Germany and I was a heel, I'd have done it too, try to get some heat. I would have known it's illegal.
I think he is a cancer on the wrestling business. And someone who has done...
What has he done that everybody is mad at him about?
Well, you said it right there. Everyone's mad at him. Boss Rutan is looking to kick his ass presently, as we record right now.
What did he do to Boss Rutan?
He didn't do anything to Boss Rutan. Mauro Ranallo was Boss Rutan's longtime partner in the commentating booth. You know, they did Pride, and I don't know if you ever watched that stuff, but they were...
I've seen some things. I got you there.
Mauro
has been on the program here in the past under a previous administration. He's a very nice young man also.
And a very good commentator. I think he's the best commentator in a generation. And Mauro, it is publicly known, he has been open about it, suffers, he's bipolar, I guess is the best way to put it. And at times it's debilitating. And for someone like me, it's hard to fully grasp that because I've never had issues like that, but I know people who have. So I'm very sympathetic towards people who get to a point where a depression comes over them and incapacitates them. Well, JBL, who is his broadcast partner, has been needling him more and more. And then he just blasted him about the fact that Mauro tweeted something he was probably very proud of, that he won the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Best Commentator of the Year award. By the way, JBL is always a finalist for Worst Commentator because he's fucking awful on commentary. He's an obnoxious jackass who's horrible on commentary. If Vince McMahon didn't love him, that guy wouldn't have a job right now.
Tell us what you really think. But anyway.
But he has a long history of bullying people. Justin Roberts just put out a book when he was overseas in Europe.
As a matter of fact, I just met Justin Roberts, and he sent me a copy of his book, and I'm going to review it later on here on the program, and he was a very nice young man.
Yeah, JBL stole his passport, and JBL kept throwing his bags across the street or out of the locker room. There's a long history. JBL cheap-shotting the Blue Meanie on the ECW pay-per-view, just shooting on him in the middle of a battle royal where everyone's working. And the one thing we know about the wrestling business is you have to rely on your opponent being cooperative so that you don't get hurt. That's the whole point. JBL intentionally went in there to hurt the guy for no reason. And that's what got Tracy Smothers all riled up at that time and a bunch of other people. And the WWE was afraid of a lawsuit, so they actually convinced Meanie to come back as a little form of a settlement. But JBL has a long history, and this is at the time when the WWE is working with, Be a Star, these anti-bullying campaigns.
Okay, hold on. Calm down, cowboy. Let me just say that I don't advocate, and I don't know what the situation was. I can't imagine Blue Meanie pissing JBL off on purpose. Maybe it was something accidental. I don't advocate beating people up in battle royal for real unless they deserve it. But as far as you got to understand one thing, and this is not for you, but everybody out there. Bradshaw is from not my generation, but from the generation after, which is the previous generation to this one. And yes, a lot of times, especially if it's the new guys, they will find their bags mysteriously fucking padlocked to fucking lockers or thrown across the street or whatever. And you browbeat people. And I had it done to me. And luckily I didn't have to get physical because it would have not only not proven anything, but also it would have reflected badly on the boys were they to beat up Jim Cornette, the manager. But verbal jousting, you give it back to him. That's how I actually finally got Ole to half-ass what he considers liking people for Ole by verbally jousting back instead of getting upset about it. That's what you do. That's what you did. You fucked with people and they fucked with you and everybody. It was to keep from going crazy on the road or whatever the fuck. And a lot worse shit has happened. He ought to have been around Mr. Fuji or the fucking Dynamite Kid, which was some mean-spirited shit.
Did you ever hear about when Joey Styles knocked out JBL? JBL was bullying him, and little Joey Styles,
I heard about that.
Knocked him the fuck out.
Yes, and I bet you that JBL liked Joey Styles a lot better after he knocked him out than he did beforehand.
And I bet you Joey Styles probably didn't really want to like JBL at all because...
Well, but that's,
I don't know. The guy's worthless to me. If you want to get past his personality, he's a horrible commentator. He'll never wrestle again. He wasn't that good in the ring. He's there because he's a putz and Vince likes him. He has no value at all. Hashtag fire JBL. And he should be gone immediately.
Well, but in the meantime, and in between time, I've never had a crossword or a bad interaction, and he has kept me entertained and sane on numerous occasions with his funny stories and his generally up attitude. So I guess I'm in the minority. But anyway, continue.